Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very interesting revelation. Durham revealed that the special counsel had also received and handed over more than 110,000 pages of records received in response to document requests or grand jury, including the Clinton campaign, an unnamed political organization, Fusion GPS, the law firm the Clintons and Sussman were associated with, a tech company and other internet companies, and Georgia Tech. He said he also received records from the law firm Sussman worked for and a public relations firm that advised it had concerning public statements issued in 2018 about Sussman's meeting with Baker. So, this is an article. Steele dossier funder Mark Elias testified before John Durham's grand jury. And I think most people don't realize that that's just 110,000 pages that have to do with... That's just 110,000 records or pages of records that have to do with Alpha Bank and the Steele dossier. We're not even talking about Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Strzok, McCabe. We're not even getting there. This is 110,000 pages of records only for one specific example of all of them setting up and framing Trump. Now, the interesting thing is that James Baker is going to be testifying against Sussman, according to this article, and others. The really interesting thing, and hit subscribe to this channel right now, because the articles will be there below in the description. The real interesting thing, and I won't go ahead and, call out anyone by name, but hit subscribe to this channel right this second, because everything I talk about pertaining to the Durham probe is sourced from reputable sources, okay? You will have a Mother Jones article here. You'll have a CNN article, you'll have a Politico article, another Politico article, and a Washington Examiner article. Now, let me just read you the Politico article. Top FBI official linked to reporter who broke Trump dossier story. So, this is Politico. James Baker, the FBI's recently assigned general counsel, was in touch with, we'll just say, Mother Jones reporter in the fall of 2016, GOP sources said. Now, he denies this in the Mother Jones reporter denies this in an article a couple days earlier in January of 2019. A new conservative smear campaign targets former FBI official to distract from Russia scandal. Nobody was ever indicted. And American democracy demands that we find out how and why government officials, journalists, attorneys, tech executives, and Trump's direct political rivals targeted him to frame and set up and perpetuate this absolutely fabricated nonsense where he was installed by the Kremlin, or he was that Russia influenced the campaign, the 2016, because they wanted Trump. You could say this. You could have said the same thing about President Obama, who came in with a Russian reset. Didn't that help Putin coming in with a less hawkish view of foreign policy than Bush? And then in 2012, when President Trump said the 80s want your foreign policy back to Romney. I mean, you can accuse somebody, you can accuse a political candidate of doing the bidding of another country if they happen to have a less hawkish view of that country than their direct political rival. This isn't rocket science, but the Lincoln Project has merged with the Democratic Party. These are all basically socially liberal warmongers who have this distorted view of democracy and civility where they can set up their direct political rivals, but God forbid if Hunter's laptop is lost, or Clinton has top secret intelligence on private servers, how dare you insinuate any intent or any, if there's emails, if there are emails showing that Hunter was giving 10% to his father, or just his father, Biden, mashed potato brains, forcing out a prosecutor. You simply cannot put two and two together. You can't say he was forcing out a prosecutor in a sovereign country that, by the way, is being invaded by Russia under his watch. You can't say that he was forcing out a prosecutor to benefit his son, because that was actually to benefit the country. Well, how do we know? Because a whole bunch of smart people say that. Even though he's the one who forced out a prosecutor, they impeached Trump on pressuring Zelensky, and President Zelensky stated he was never pressured him. President Zelensky is on record, and his predecessor, President Poroshenko, is on record. They're all on record as saying Trump never pressured them. Yet still Trump was impeached. But here, this is really interesting. Durham is almost certainly going to indict more people linked to James Baker. And James Baker and other FBI officials are going to testify against these people. You have Michael Sussman, but you have all of these other people who spread nonsense. So in this, really quickly, in this Mother Jones article, the journalist says, no, I never met with James Baker. Well, Politico runs a story. James Baker, the FBI recently assigned general counsel, was in touch with David Corn, here you go, of Mother Jones in the fall of 2016. So GOP sources said. Corn said, no, that's not true. That never happened. Okay. The interesting thing is CNN, former FBI General Counsel James Baker under criminal investigation. That's CNN. So CNN's reporting this. Again, CNN reporting is meaningless because they usually have to issue retractions, and so Corn could be right that he might not be the Mother Jones journalist's source, but who was? Why is a Mother Jones journalist who is a left-leaning publication meeting with anyone at the FBI? And this whole article here, to distract from Russia's scandal, this whole article is saying that, there are people at the FBI who really thought that Trump firing Comey was a plan, from the Kremlin, or he was doing the Kremlin's bidding. You could say that about any. Oh, so when President Obama was caught in a hot mic telling Medvedev, I believe, I'll have more leeway, or I'll have a greater ability to negotiate after the election. Oh, that was actually the Kremlin speaking through President Obama. You could do the same thing to Democrats. Millions upon millions from Uranium One executives into the Clinton Foundation, and then miraculously President Obama doesn't veto the sale because he could have vetoed the sale of uranium mines and Uranium One to Rosatom. Of the deal, of the uranium deal to Uranium One, which was eventually purchased by Rosatom, the Kremlin eventually purchased by Putin. So that there's nothing there. You cannot put two and two together when actual money flows go into the foundation from a company that's eventually owned by the Kremlin, or when Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin. Here, we can go ahead. Clinton, Putin meeting. Bill Clinton sought permission to meet with Russia's nuclear official during Obama uranium decision. Right here. It's right here. Okay? So, Bill Clinton instead got together with Vladimir Putin at the Russian leader's private homestead. So, it's pretty unbelievable. Bill Clinton gets to meet with Vladimir Putin at his home. No, but years back, nobody says anything. You have law firms, tech companies, journalists, all setting up and framing Trump. Nothing comes of it, and they say, we're doing it for democracy. Then they say, well, Trump's decisions, they were very suspicious, and we thought they were linked to the Kremlin. It's like, you have no right to initiate investigations based on suspicion. If you're not going to initiate investigations based on the suspicious activity of money flowing into the Clinton Foundation or Hunter's laptop being lost with incriminating data or anything else that's incriminating, Biden forcing out a prosecutor of a sovereign country. Why do you, even when he's talking about him, forcing out the prosecutor, he says, but the Ukrainians said I couldn't do it. And I said, call President Obama. He was very proud of himself. So they impeached Trump without even Zelensky backing them. President Zelensky, who is a hero, and I agree, God bless the people of Ukraine. And God bless President Zelensky. But he backed Trump, saying, he was never pressured. Top official link to reporter who broke Trump dossier story. Politico. And this is Politico. Ex-general counsel faced criminal leak probe. The revelation timing suggests Republicans are seeking to undercut Baker's credibility from, a breakthrough New York Times report. So all of this, you have all of this nonsense being now just peeled away by the Durham probe special counsel. And it'll be interesting who John Durham indicts next. He's going to indict a lot of other people. It'll be interesting the 110,000 pages, how that information is used for the next indictment. Whether it's an attorney or a tech executive or a government official, we don't know. Or a source, one of these sources for the Steele dossier or Alpha Bank, who knows? Everything they leveled against Trump was the antithesis of defending American democracy, of defending the Democratic Party. That's all they cared about. You have 3 people indicted now specifically for setting up Trump. Nobody was ever indicted because they worked with Russian intelligence officials to install Trump. Okay, and I was telling everybody when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, I was telling everybody that Clinton would lose to Trump. So it didn't take some kind of miraculous, Russian intervention. That was obvious, to me at least. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. And nobody saw a Facebook ad, not one person. Give me your